Hey guys, welcome to another week, another vlog from myself, Coach Declan. So we are 12 weeks in to this marathon training block, the Road to Dublin Marathon, where I'm chronicling the journey of what it takes to train for a marathon. The progressions that you do, the type of sessions that I do, and my thought process, both about the plan in general, the sessions, and how I'm feeling overall, as well as just sort of the overall progression from somebody who, probably wasn't as fit as they could have been, should have been, was injured at the start of the training block, to where we are now and where we hope to be within the next 4 weeks, because it's only 4 weeks to Dublin Marathon. It is getting to crunch time, but this week went really well, really well for me. I will go through session by session, and explain just what went on this week. Okay, so you'll see me looking down just at my sheet here, just to remind myself of the sessions, the times, the paces, and just as a wee note so that I can sort of don't miss anything or anything like that there. So I started off on Tuesday. As always, I take the Monday off as a rest day, especially after the previous week where I had ran the 26-mile distance. The recovery was needed, mentally and physically, just to allow the body to adapt. But I didn't want to take too much time either out, because we were still training hard for the marathon. We're still building up that layers of fatigue, the layers of fitness, and building upon that there. So Tuesday I done a treadmill run. It was a treadmill fartlek session. I'm not too sure if I've mentioned this session before in this vlog, but it's one of my favorite treadmill sessions. And it starts off at 9 minutes easy paced, so going with effort, not really caring about the pace too much, but feeling nice and easy, and then 1 minute fast. Then I would drop it down to 8 minutes easy, then 1 minute fast, then 6 and 1, 5 and 1, 4 and 1, 3, 2, 1, and then finishing out with a few one-on, one-offs. This session's really good in terms of just teaching you how to dig deep at the end of a session, at the end of a run, at the end of a race, because it starts really easy. You're doing your 9 minutes with only 1 minute faster, and then you get a full 8 minute recovery. You think, this is grand. But once you get down to the sort of 4, the 3, the 2, and then the rolling ones, it becomes very difficult, But I really enjoy it, because it allows the body to. Well, I suppose I like it after coming from from a long run perspective perspective into the session, because you're starting nice and easy, but you're finishing nice and fast there, and getting the legs spinning, getting used to that faster cadence again as well. So overall, I think I did 6.5 miles on that session on the treadmill. The easy pace was done at probably 9:30, 10 minutes per mile. And the faster was done at about sort of tempo effort. So it was sort of in and around the 7:10, 7:15s. So good wee session, great one. If you do get stuck onto a treadmill, or if you're looking for a session to do, and you can only do the treadmill, try it out and let me know your thoughts. Let me know how you get on with it. Then on Wednesday was a rest day. So just because I was busy in work and life in general, I ended up taking the Wednesday off, which leads me on to Thursday. So there was a little race, or local race, on down in Belfast on Thursday night. It was the Citibank 5K, and I had been sort of asking, people in the group, the Virtual Running Eye group, for an entry. I'd left it too late, but I managed to secure an entry quite last minute for it. So it was a real good fun event. Very flat course in and around the Titanic Quarter in Belfast, starting just outside Citibank's head office there. I think there was like 8 meters of elevation, or 20 feet of elevation over the whole course. It shows you how flat it was. So I didn't really know if I was going to race it overly hard or what I was going to do. But, you know, as soon as the hooter went and the pyrotechnics and everything went, you know, I just went for it. I went out hard and seen if I could hold on. So I went out at about I think it was 6:15 pace for the first mile. But the legs started to slow down a little bit after that there. And each mile just got progressively slower, just as the fatigue and everything came in. You know, I just didn't have it in my legs for a really fast 5K. But it was still the fastest 5K I've ran since 2019. So it turned out pretty good. I think looking at the session itself, if you flip it on its head and you started at the 6:45s and you finish at the 6:15s, you think it's a great run, and possibly else what I should have done. But going out at 6:15s, finishing at 6:45s and feeling a wee bit about the whole thing, it just sort of not great. But whenever I looked at my time and checked it against the official record, it was 5K at 6:33. So it was 2019, I think, was my official time. So 3 seconds quicker than my last park run 5K that I raced. Probably should have been better considering the course was a bit flatter, but still the fastest time in 3 and a bit years. So you got to take the wins with that there. So really happy with that there. And just the way that the session was and something, you know, I probably should have done warm up, should have done a cool down. Didn't do any of that, just went out and raced the 5K, and probably felt the effects of it the next day, whenever I was out doing a little easy run. So the next day it was just an easy run. Friday morning. So Friday morning was off work, off the day job, just because I've been working late a night earlier this week, and opened the door after getting dressed. And it was just lashing down. The rain was pouring down. The wind was blowing a gale. I think we looked at the weather afterwards. It said 100% chance of rain, and it was like 43 mile per hour winds. And I closed the door again. I was just like, I just can't do that. But I had a wee cup of coffee. I had words with myself, and do you know what? I just went out and done it. I threw a cap on, and away I went. And I'd done 9 miles. Super easy paced, super easy effort, which turned into a nice easy pace. Just a normal wee 9 mile route that I do, running down from Marafelt into Castle Dawson, round to Broke Road and back up again. Started off at about 8:10, 8:15 pace, finished up about 9 pace. Averaged was 8:26 overall average, which, you know, it was an effort run, although I'm telling you the pace here, it was really just about the effort. It was just about building the aerobic capacity, and not worrying too much about burning myself out, training that energy system. Came in absolutely soaking wet, but loved it. You know, once you're out in the rain, you're out, you're wet, what more can you do with it? And, you know, we can't control the conditions on race day. We can't control what the weather's going to do. So we may as well just get used to it. So I know I've done a few treadmill runs in the past, but it's getting closer and closer to the Dublin Marathon that it's time to make sure that we get out in all different weathers and get used to that there. But it set up the day quite nicely. Really good form for the rest of the day, having that done and not having to worry about it later on. Saturday morning, the plan was to do sort of a bit of a tempo run. So this was sort of like, will be the second tempo run. The 5K race should have been a tempo run, but you know, we'll count it as 3 miles tempo, probably a lot faster than tempo. But took myself off to park run. Because we're going to do 3 mile tempo, I might as well have a little bit of company with it as well. So I headed over to Derrynoid. Derrynoid Park Run's one of the newest park runs in Northern Ireland here, just outside Draperstown there. Runs around Derrynoid Forest. Fantastic little event, great wee course, 3 laps, with a bit of a stinky old hill at the end of each lap. That sort of, you know, comes at you quite quickly each time as well. But yeah, went out. You know, as always, I went out at sort of tempo effort, and actually ended up coming in at 6:55 pace. Did a 1 mile warm up this time, did a 1 mile cool down as well, just to round out the session well, and it turned out to be a course PB. So it's the fastest I've run this course. I've only done it 3 times, but still fastest time round it, knocking about 35 seconds off, which is good. So considering that, you know, we've done a fartlek session, we've raced a 5k, we've done 9 miles easy, and we're hitting a course PB around a fairly tough park run. So the overall time was 21, I think it was 21:19, 21:29, maybe something around that there. Can't remember exactly, but it worked out at 6:55 average for the 5k. I really enjoyed it. Home, rested up, which leads me on to this week's long run. So the t-shirt that I'm wearing is an event t-shirt from the Mary Peters Festival of Running. I think that's what it's called anyway. Yeah, the Mary Peters Running Festival is what it's officially called. So this is run by Glen Grant Championship Ireland, and it was a sort of range of different distances. He had a 5k on, 10k on, 20 mile on, and the marathon distance. So my plan said 20 miles run, and as I did last week, I rounded it up to the marathon again. Here we go again, you know. And honestly, don't copy me. The thing about it is I've got a wealth of experience. I can control the runs to a degree and know what my legs are capable of. Getting the distance in, you know, a month before, you do not have to do. You know, ideally your long run should never be more than sort of 3 hours. Anything more than that, the actual training effect negates the risk of injury, but I would know myself very well in terms of if I'm hurt or pushing too hard, I know that I can pull that back. So, you know, that's just a bit of a warning there, a public service announcement. Don't copy me. If your plan says 20 miles, stick to your 20 miles. Do what your coach says, or do what your plan says for you as well. So for me though, yeah, I went out and did a marathon distance. So I chatted to quite a few friends at the beginning of it. The marathon started at 10 o'clock. The 20 miles was starting at 20 to 11. And the course itself, okay, so the course was a couple of loops in around the former Maze site. So anybody who knows a little bit about Northern Irish history, it's the H blocks, quite a historic part of Northern Ireland, and it's also called the Icon Centre there as well. Fabulous site, but great, sort of steeped in history, nice to run around because it was lovely and flat. And then there was 2 10-mile loops around Lisburn area, out around the country roads. Undulating is the word that you would use, hilly, for the first sort of 4 or 5 miles of that, and then quite downhill for the next 5, or quite flat. So you had 2 laps of that there, and then back into the maze for the final 2 miles to finish. And as I was saying there, chatting to a few friends at the start, race plan, what am I going to do? So for me, the 20 miles was to be done probably a bit slower than marathon pace. That's what the goal was. So sort of, you know, the plan here is to do a 3:30 marathon in Dublin or under. And I sort of had anticipated running at about 3:45 pace for this 20-mile run. Then I would just cruise through the last 6 miles at a nice, really relaxed pace. That did not happen. So I started off at about 7:15 pace, feeling good. The legs were a little bit fatigued from the sort of harder sessions earlier in the week, especially the 5k tempo the day before. But, you know, you get caught up in the moment. I get caught up in the moment. So here I am telling you how I'm sensible and, you know, I know to stick to race plans. But looking at the heart rate, 7:15 was in zone 2. It was my endurance zone. It's a zone that I can do my long runs in. So I knew just to keep an eye on the heart rate, and as the effort gets harder, the pace will slow down to stick into that heart rate zone. So that was perfectly fine. So I did a couple of laps of the maze, got out onto the road, up the hills, round the first lap, looked at the half marathon distance whenever I first came through it, and seen 1:43, which is on target for a sub 3:30 marathon. So I thought, right, well, the heart rate's still sitting okay here. It's still sitting within zone 2. It's still feeling fairly comfortable. I'm going to be hitting the hills here soon anyway, so the pace is going to naturally drop off again. It didn't. It it actually held this sort of sub 8 pace right up to the 20-mile mark, and it was feeling good. The heart rate was feeling good. So I got to the 20-mile mark, 10k to go. Time to slow down, time to pull it back. Good training run, brilliant training run if you think about it. I think I was sitting at 7:55 average at this point. Miles were coming along nicely. My nutrition had worked out perfectly well. There was no toilet stops, there was no breaks. I had my gels with me. I don't usually use gels, I usually use Tailwind. But the previous week, the Tailwind was making me. I actually didn't have the Tailwind with me. Sorry, that's what I was going to say. Didn't have the Tailwind with me, but felt okay with the water. But I thought, well, I'll try something different. Might as well try it out on a practice run. So I had 3 gels, took one every 10k, 10k gel, 10k gel, 10k gel, and I was feeling okay. So I did a little bit of mental arithmetic at this point, a little bit of a head to toe body check-in. Head's feeling good, not feeling hot. Breathing was feeling in control. The shoulders were loose. The core felt okay. Glutes slightly tight. Quads felt grand. Hamstrings good. Calves fine. Feet no issues. So let's go for it. Let's just see what we've got here. So I actually picked up the pace, or picked up the effort in the last 10k. So instead of slowing down the effort, I maintained the effort that I had and picked it up a wee bit. I let the heart rate go up out of zone 2. It went up into zone 3 for the next 10k, with a couple of wee pointers up to zone 4. But I was still in control. And I came through 23 and a bit miles, 5k to go, 3 hours, 5 minutes. I was like, okay, so I can run the next 3 miles at approximately 8-minute mile pace and get a 3:30 marathon. This is the goal. 4 weeks early. I'm going to do it. Am I going to do it? So just a couple of wee words with myself. Took a little caffeine strip, or Revy. Give myself a little bit of an extra oomph, and away I went. Now, I didn't bang out miles here. It was controlled. It was 8:35, 8:25, 8:15. 3 miles, very, very well within my limitations at the end of a marathon. And I hit 26.22 in 3:28:59. Boom. Target achieved, plan over, done, dusted. No, we're still training for Dublin, we're still going. And unfortunately, the course measured over. It measured 0.4 miles over according to my watch, and talking to a few ones after, they all said the same, between 0.35 and 0.5 over. There was probably part of the course where I was like, really, we should just cut through here instead of doing a roundabout. Would have saved that wee bit of extra distance. It didn't even feel right when you're running. It felt natural to turn to the left. But anyway, you can only run the course. My official time for the marathon was 3:32:01. Now, if you gave me that as a finish time in Dublin in 4 weeks' time at the start of this block, I'd have been over the moon. I am over the moon with the time. And it just shows how well this training has been going, how good it has fallen into place. You know, running a marathon last week, running 2 pretty hard 5Ks this week, running a fartlek tempo session, all on fatigued legs, turning up, running a marathon, and still doing the 3:30. I'm really excited about what Dublin can do for me now that we're going to hit, 1 more week of hard training before we start tapering. Again, please don't copy me. Don't do as I do as I say, where, it went out the window a wee bit, but it was sort of like, I can push on, okay, and I'm not feeling sore, I'm feeling grand. Absolutely loads left in the tank. Didn't feel busted at the end, maybe felt a little bit sick. I think that might be due to the gels. But overall, the legs felt good, the head felt good, everything was really positive. Drove home, woke up this morning, able to walk, no issues, So there's a lot more in those legs. I just need to make sure that I treat the next 4 weeks quite carefully, that I don't get carried away, I don't race, I don't peak too soon. This week that we're in now, that you're hopefully watching this video, we're 4 weeks away from the key race. It will involve one more 20-mile run, so that gives me 5 20-mile runs in total over this training block. Testing to see whether this is a good thing or a bad thing. It seems to be working well for me. So this week there's going to be tempo into intervals. There's easy runs, there's marathon paced or effort runs, there's a couple of easy runs, and then there's one big final long run to do. Then we are tapering down. And the taper for me, the intensity will stay up for the most part, but the miles will start to come down. Reducing it down to about 75% of the distances, down to then 50%, and then for race week we just sort of pretty much rest up a couple of wee runs to keep things ticking over. I'll also start to really clean up the diet now at this point, not in terms of wanting to lose weight or anything like that there, but just more to get good quality fuel into the body to make sure that the muscles are repaired, that they're full of nice fresh nutrients, vitamins, whatever way you want to do it. We're just making sure that everything going in is clean, it's healthy, and we're going to up our hydration levels too. So guys, I think this is probably one of the longer ones. I'm not too sure. I don't have a timer or I can't see it, but it feels like I've talked a lot more than I normally do in these here. So thank you for sticking with me through to the end of this here. Really good week. I'm really excited and really positive about how things go on. Have I peaked too soon though? That's maybe a question that we need to ask. Need to maybe think about too. Was it the course? Was the course just perfect conditions for running? Was the weather perfect? Should I have pushed? Could I have got my PB? You know, probably from that 13 to 20 mile mark, maybe I should have just pushed on. Who knows? We will see come Dublin. It is less than 4 weeks away. I hope to see lots of you there. There are a lot of people who are commenting and sending me messages who are training for it. I'm also training quite a few for it too. So I'm hoping it's going to be a real good day, real good event. The support's second to none. Any questions you guys have, do drop me a message or comment below. And thank you very much for watching. See you again. Stop recording.